Hello and welcome to Heirs and Graces. I am RMP792 and it's Winter Wolves time again, people. So, hasn't been that much content for the last couple of weeks on this channel. I'm planning to record a vlog after I've done this recording session to sort of explain what's going on and things like that, so you'll be caught up to date on that. And yeah, just you'll have seen that a week ago by your time, so that's fine. So why am I doing this? Well, it's a Winter Wolves game, and well, frankly, I fancied a Winter Wolves game because why the hell not? So my usual opening spiel. I record my Let's Play footage a week in advance, so if you're giving me advice on the best way to play a game, the odds are I've finished it by the time you see any of the footage. It is currently the 13th today, so that's Monday the 13th. And so, yeah, this is about a week in advance of when you're going to see it. My maximum upload limit for 1 week at a time is 12.5 hours worth of footage, so that's 25 parts, because I upload in half-hour chunks. Yeah. And if you wish to support this channel, you can do that either simply by watching the adverts, which does help me at least a little bit, or if you want to contribute in a more helpful way, I do have a Patreon. There's a link to that below. That's patreon.com/rmp792, which allows you to do various things, and get various things in return, ranging from getting your name listed in the credits of my Let's Review, to getting the occasional shout out and thanks, like for example Lee Maths does, right the way up to the rank at which you can actually pick a game that I will spend a week of my life, or possibly 2 weeks depending on how long it is, covering on the channel, which again is something that Lee Maths has done, and as a result occasionally I'll play games that I wouldn't have otherwise played. So yeah, those are available rewards. I need to remember to log onto it at some point and add the tier for the Sakura month, because if you're not aware, I said a while ago that I would cover 4 Sakura games in a row and call it Sakura month and just torture myself if we reached a certain level. I'm thinking $100 a month, but yeah, either way, so if you want me to torture myself, feel free to chip in a little bit. But anyway, so yes, I think that's basically, oh yeah, if you wish to respond to anything specific that I say, please do feel free. I do read every comment. But if you could timestamp the point of the video that I'm saying the thing you're referring to, that would be extremely helpful, because I tend to forget what I've said from 1 minute to the next, let alone a week later, so there's that. Yeah. Also, please be advised, this is a yaoi-only dating sim. If you're not aware of what that means it's gay romances only. So I'm going to warn you all right now, I will not tolerate any kind of homophobia in the comments section. If anybody gets even slightly homophobic, I will be dropping the ban hammer faster than you would believe. So be aware of that. Right, so with that said, in we go. My body is stiff, every muscle tense in a mixture of nerves and anticipation. Before me looms the Sander estate, a vast plot of land with a mansion 2 stories high, meticulously detailed from the set of marble wolf statues guarding the mahogany front doors. I could safely say I've never seen its like. Admittedly, that's not saying much. I may be the son of a noble lord, but well, I'm also my mother's son. Instead of being raised in a place like this, I spent my childhood growing up on the streets. Can't say it was easy, but my mother and I always found a way to make it work, one way or another. I'm not bitter about that. What I'm bitter about is the fact that my father abandoned my mother. I mean, I get it, I do. He would have had to give up everything to be with her. His fortune, his social ties, his way of life, everything. Still, he should have been prepared to do that the moment that he asked her to risk the same. He had no right getting involved with her when he couldn't even do that. I close my eyes, take a deep breath, trying to calm the surge of anger that my thoughts have ignited. Is that why I'm here? To demand answers on my mother's behalf? To look him in the eye and list everything he's forced her to go through because she said he loved her, in the hopes he'd conjure up some form of regret? No, I don't think that's it. I don't want him to ever know who I am. That's why I'm applying here as a servant, not approaching him as his son. I just need to know. As to what I need to know, well, I haven't figured that part out yet. I'll have to sum it up as an unwholesome curiosity until I sort out these thoughts. I don't know what'll happen when I cross the mansion's threshold, but I decided to do this. There's no point backing out now. I work up my nerve before stepping toward the door. Then I take the brass knocker in my hand and hit it against the door 4 times. I only have to wait a second before the door clicks open to reveal a poised butler with a serious expression. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is Marcel. I'm here to... Ah, yes. You're the boy Mrs. Julien recommended. I'm not so keen on the boy part, but the fact he knows about me makes things a little easier. I'll have to thank Mrs. Julien the next time I visit her shop. That's right. Then you're looking to be hired on as a servant, is that right? Yes. Excellent. Let's go ahead and get you started then, if you'll just follow me. Just like that? You don't need to ask any questions, check out my references. Mrs. Julien's judgment tends to be spot on, and as long as you don't turn out to be completely incompetent, I should be able to find some use for you. He steps aside to let me in. I nod and enter, stepping into the foyer. If possible, the mansion is even more impressive on the inside. I only have a second to get swept up in the grandeur of it, before Mr. Butler passes me and starts off down one of the halls. I follow him into a bedroom. Small, very plain compared to the rest of the house. Practical perhaps, but not exactly luxurious. I don't like to make assumptions, but I have a feeling this will be my room. And sure enough, this will be your room while you work here. It is admittedly not much, but the chances are you won't be spending much time here anyway. I noticed that there's only the one bed. I was expecting to have to share the room with at least one other person, but there's only one bed. That's probably not the case after all. I'm not sharing it with anyone. That is correct. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with so much room. May not be fancy compared to the rest of the house, but it's bigger than most of the places Mum and I called home. Warmer too. Lord Sandor used to employ more servants, but... Alright. It's been a long weekend. As I say, if you've seen the vlog that I'm going to make a little later today, you'll understand why. Lord Sandor used to employ more servants, but lately he keeps just enough to run the mansion. It means more work for the ones he does employ, but on the plus side, you do get the room to yourself. I go quiet for a moment, wondering if asking why would be inappropriate. I decide to risk it, figuring it wouldn't result in anything too drastic since it's my first day. Mr. Butler probably doesn't expect me to be perfect right away. Why is that? I don't know. Even if I did, it would not be my place to say. It is our job to see to Lord Sandor's wishes are fulfilled, not questioned. Of course. I'm sorry, I won't ask again. As long as you understand. While we're on the topic, I suppose I should go over the house rules. First, never begin a conversation with any lords or ladies that may come to visit. Only speak to them when spoken to, and be sure to give them your full attention. Keep still, make sure to look at the person addressing you. Keep your answers brief and as agreeable as possible. These rules do not apply to the other servants, but it is important that you do not hold conversations in front of guests. It goes on for a good 10 minutes. It's a bit overwhelming, but most of it's common sense. Break something that comes out your wages, don't remove items from their original rooms unless given special permission, and so on. As long as I keep myself in check, I should be okay. And finally, all servants must be back in the mansion before nightfall. To prevent any amoral implications, I suppose. A servant with a bad reputation can reflect badly on their employer, after all. If a servant is a liability, it's easier to let them go. Again, it's common sense. Did you get all that? I can go over it once more if you wish. Please, no. There was a lot of good information in there, but I really don't need to hear it all again. That's alright. It's all pretty straightforward. There shouldn't be any problems. Mr. Butler gives me a satisfied nod before heading to the door. He opens it and once again steps aside to let me pass. I feel a bit like a highborn lord having him hold the door for me in such a gentlemanly manner. It's a bit odd to me, but I guess this is normal behaviour for a professional butler. I think I'd benefit from making a note of it. Shall we go see the rest of the house then? Before that, I'm sorry if you've already said it, but I didn't catch your name. A seemingly uncharacteristic blush creeps onto the butler's cheeks as his eyes meet mine. A crack in his refined to a fault facade. He looks genuinely mortified over forgetting such a routine convention. Oh, forgive me, it slipped my mind. No, it's fine. You're busy explaining things. Of course it slipped your mind. He's still a bit pale, but he calms down enough to at least answer the question. Even so, it is not something that should have happened. I'll endeavour to make sure I don't repeat the same mistake again. My name is Vincent. I apologise for not telling you earlier. I hope you can excuse my rudeness. He adds a small bow to emphasise his apology. That's really not necessary. He keeps up the bow, refusing to back out of it, and I roll my eyes. I suppose an exceptionally cruel noble will accept this level of grovelling before granting their forgiveness, but that's just not me. Kind of regret asking, but I did kinda need his name. Mr. Butler works well enough as far as my own thoughts go, but probably wouldn't like me calling him that out loud. I'll wait another second before trying a different tactic. It's nice to meet you, Vincent. Vincent stands up straight at long last. Progress. The pleasure is all mine, Mr. Marcel. I look forward to working with you. I briefly debate whether or not I should bother trying to get him to just call me Marcel. Honestly, it's probably more effort than it's worth, but Mr. Marcel doesn't really sound right to me. It's okay to just call me by name, you don't need to add the Mr. part. Vincent pauses to consider what I've said. You'd prefer it if I just called you Marcel? If it's not too much trouble. Very well. Huh. That was easier than I expected. I thought for sure he'd make a fuss about it. Maybe he's not as rigid as I'd assumed. I nod, and together we head back to the foyer. There, Vincent stops at the base of the stairs and turns to me. He seems to have recovered from his botched introduction and has resumed his professional demeanour. Lord Sandar's room is at the top of the stairs, along with the guest rooms and his personal library. Most of the work you'll be doing up there is cleaning. You will spend the majority of your time on the first floor. I don't wish to disturb Lord Sandar, so we shall skip the rooms for the time being. In any case, the rooms should be easily to identify, even without seeing them firsthand. The rooms at the top of the stairs are guest rooms, and if you follow the hallway around past the suits of armour, you'll run into the library and Lord Sandar's room. That said, he turns on his heel and leads me to the next room. We go to several places, including the cellar, the kitchen, the parlour, and so on, until we've covered the entirety of the first floor. As we go through each one, I'm given a lengthy lecture on the various jobs I might be asked to perform in each one. We finish the tour in the garden. It isn't nearly as impressive as I'd imagined it would be, considering the rest of the house. There's nothing wrong with it per se, but it lacks a certain artistry, and it could use some colours besides green. Still, the plants seem to be healthy, and I guess that's what matters. As I am sure you have summarised, this is the garden. I prepare myself for another long lecture from Vincent, when a tall, muscular man approaches us. He'd been working with one of the plants when we entered the garden, so I half wonder if he chose now to approach in order to spare me from Vincent's lecture. This the new guy? His name is Marcel. Mr. Muscles looks at me appraisingly. I'm a little self-conscious as his gaze lingers a few seconds longer than I'm comfortable with. Finally, and mercifully, he turns his attention back to Vincent. Bit scrawny. Vincent lets out a small sigh. Not everyone is an ex-gladiator. In any case, he should be able to do most tasks just fine. My eyes widen and I look the man over again. He definitely has the body type, and the scars. I would have guessed if I tried to be a bit more analytical. Okay, maybe I wouldn't have guessed former gladiator. I just suspected he used to be some type of warrior. Definitely seemed more like a bodyguard than a gardener. He gives me a small nod. Kamal. What? His name is Kamal. You'll have to forgive him for being vague. He tends to get by using as few words as possible. Yes. I see. Well, it's nice to meet you, Mr. Kamal. Just Kamal. I nod and correct myself. Kamal, then. It's nice to meet you, Kamal. I'm not sure it is yet, but there's no harm in saying so. It was Marcel, right? That's right. He nods and leaves it like that. I'm not actually sure how else to respond. Luckily, he doesn't seem to expect me to. Vincent gives us both a chance to continue our conversation before deciding he's the one who'll have to move things along. Do you need an extra set of hands to help out? Not really. But you can find something for him to do? Sure. You'll watch over him, make sure he knows what he's doing. Kamal responds with another nod. We've finished with the tour then? Yes. You'll spend the rest of the day helping Kamal in the garden. He'll let you know when you're done. I'm quite alright with that. I have enough information to process as is, so it's nice to know I'll get a break from Vincent's lectures for the time being. Okay. Alright then. I'm entrusting him to you, Kamal. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a job to get back to. Kamal and I nod and Vincent takes his leave. Once he's gone back to the mansion, Kamal breaks the silence. You get used to him. He seems nice enough. Kamal gives me a look. Alright, he might just be a little too serious. It's not a bad thing though, considering his profession. Kamal lets out a small chuckle. True. He leaves it at that, creating another moment of silence. I suppose this is just something I'll have to get used to with him. Still, as long as he doesn't expect a response every time, it shouldn't be too much of a problem. So, I guess just let me know what to do and I'll do it. Kamal nods and we get to work. I mostly end up watering plants. Kamal does most of the harder work, even though I can tell him I can handle it. There doesn't seem to be any rush, though, as he goes about his duties, and he does everything at his own pace. All in all, it's actually kind of relaxing. I don't think I mind being assigned to the garden work again. The day draws to a close and I head back to my room. I flop to the bed and stare at the ceiling. I didn't see Lord Sandor at all today. I guess he trusts Vincent to handle employing servants by himself. I'm a little disappointed, but I'm mostly relieved. I convinced myself I was ready to see him when I knocked on the door, but oh god, now I'm going back and forth on the issue. I mean, I'll have to face him eventually, I just don't know exactly when. I try to stop thinking about it, and I let out a sigh and think about Mom. I didn't tell her I was coming here, just that I was looking into a long-term job in town. She'd probably be mad if she knew. I'll come up with something to tell her when I write to her tomorrow. I close my eyes, focus on getting to sleep. Okay. Hit that help button. In the schedule screen, you'll plan the weekly events of Marcel. The total number of weeks before the game ends is shown at the bottom of the screen. Week 1 of 34, okay. Under the activities panel, you can see the various activities you can do during the week. Click on an activity and then... okay. Reaching a value of 90 in the associated skill will unlock a bonus CG for each character before the end of the story. You get the final romance ending and relative CG. You'll need to reach 100% relationship with the love interest and 90 in reputation. The reputation can be raised with only the main plot skill checks or with bonus associated with weekly activities. Each day, any activity can have 3 outcomes. Normal, +1, good, +2, or great, plus, which gives +1 skill and +1, okay. Okay. Okay, so we have various people here. So the question is, what stats do we need? What stats do we need for each person? I wonder. Physique, decorum, knowledge, leadership. Okay, that makes sense. So I'm assuming each one of these 4 people likes one of these 4 combinations. Leadership comes from tidiness and management. Tidiness, really? Okay. Or luggage. Why do nobles insist on bringing so much stuff when they visit? They're pretty sure they think twice about it. They were the ones who had to carry it. Someone has to write the letters Lord Sandor gets, and it's not going to be him, apparently. I guess that gives me a chance to work on my etiquette. So yeah, it tells you which stat it's going to do. Clean rooms. So, the classic thing is, how do we guess which one? Okay, some of them are fairly obvious. You know, Kamal is almost certainly going to be after physique. I would assume Vincent's after decorum, but we haven't even met the other 2 yet. And what can I say? I'm a knowledge kind of guy, so awareness is there. So let's do some awareness. And education shelving books. I know I shouldn't, but I might sneak a peek if I find a particularly interesting title. let's build up those two a little bit. And maybe some decorum. I say it's probably best to just focus on two of them exclusively, but I'll do a range of a couple of things initially and see how that works. Okay, +1, +2 education, +2 awareness. I find Kamal working in the garden as usual. Today he's busying himself by trimming some of the more unruly looking bushes. He makes one last cut before looking my way. Vincent sent you? Yup. Kamal nods. There's watering can by the shed. Right. I head over to the area Kamal had pointed out and find the watering can he's talking about. Fill it up and water the plants along the side. They don't need too much. Be careful not to overdo it. I nod and get to work, and it doesn't take me long to finish. I briefly wonder if I should water any other plants while I'm at it, but I ultimately decided that that's what Kamal had wanted me to do. He would have said it. Kamal finishes up what he's working on and walks over to where I am. He kneels over, checks the soil near the plants I've just finished watering. I don't think much of it when I was doing it, but I'm wondering if I did the job properly. Did anybody else expect a sort of magical grass-type monster to leap out and attack us? But purely because Winterwolves has used that sound effect before. Particularly it turned up quite a few times in Lorraine the Amazon Princess and Seasons of the Wolf, and usually it heralded the approach of some sort of plant-based monster and or a wizard throwing a plant-based spell. Sorry, I'm off topic. Seems about right. He stands up and wipes his hands in his pants. Good job. Wasn't exactly hard, no, but you still did a good job. He reaches out, wordlessly offering to take my watering can. I hand it over and he takes it back to the shed from where I originally got it. Guess we're done with that particular task. So, what's next? Nothing. 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 And you're telling me we've already finished for the day? Yes. But all I did was water some plants. Yes. Well, isn't there something else we can work on? Kamal shrugs. Oh, I could probably come up with something. I sigh. If he actually has to try to come up with something, it's not really worth it. That's not necessary. Sorry to disappoint. I'm not disappointed. I'm just surprised. Is this pretty typical? Yes. And Vincent doesn't have you do anything else? Only when he needs something heavy lifted. What do you do with all your free time? Whatever I want. That's not a helpful answer. I must be making a face because Kamal laughs and gives me a more specific one. Practice, mostly. Practice? Oh, you mean practice fighting, right? Yes. I am technically Lord Sandar's bodyguard. I try not to let myself go too much. Wait, you're actually his bodyguard? That's right. But you're also the gardener. Kamal shrugs. Technically, Lord Sandar doesn't have a gardener. He fired the last one, didn't bother hiring another. Vincent was the one who got stuck taking care of it before I came along. Of course he did. That man works way too hard. Kamal cracks a smile. That he does. I respect him for it, but he does take it a little too far upon occasion. Taking care of the garden on top of all his other duties was making him a bit crazy. Since I wasn't really doing much, I figured I'd take over for a while. You know, give Vincent a bit of a break. It stuck, and that was that. I became a gardener. It's not exactly what I saw myself doing when I started here, but I like it. He turns his gaze towards the garden, overlooking all the plants he's taking care of. It's very different from tearing people down in the arena. Kamal grows a bit quieter before adding a few more words. Not that I minded that either. I can't be sure I'm reading him right, but I get a sense that Kamal feels at least a bit of guilt over that. I kind of want to ask. Instead, I just watch him for a long moment as he stares blankly into space. When I've finally had enough of the silence, I try to strike up a conversation, leaving the former topic for another time. You know, the plants look healthy and all, but I think the garden could use some more colour. You think it needs more colour? He scratches the back of his neck, giving the gardener the look. I would have thought that bit of constructive criticism would have been obvious. Yeah, it's mostly just green right now. A few bright flowers or something would liven it up. Of course, that'd mean more work. Might be a stupid idea. It's not. It's just... well, I knew it was a little plain, but... Pauses for a moment, thinking it over. Well, I could ask Lord Sandor if he'd be alright with that. Do you think he'd have a problem with it? No, I just don't know if he'd fund it though. I might have to spend my own money. Oh, never mind then, it's not a big deal. Oh, it could be fun. I would need your help though. I don't know. It was your idea. Well, yes it was, but... I said it mostly as a conversation point. I didn't actually expect him to embrace the idea. I'll buy the plants, but I do expect you to put in some work. I do need to pick out whatever we'll be planting. Sound fair? I suppose that doesn't sound too bad. Good. Well, if you're there, you can stop me from buying more green plants. Is that a subtle threat, or are you colourblind or something? Yes. To which one? Both. Oh. Well, that definitely explains some things. Kamal might have thought the garden was more colourful than it actually is, and now I feel kind of bad for bringing it up. Sorry, that was really insensitive, wasn't it? It's fine, you didn't know. I mostly have trouble with reds and greens. It's been annoying when I mix them up, but it doesn't hinder me too much. I can still do everything I need to do. I see. Kamal nods. Just do me a favour. Try not to identify things by colour when you're trying to point them out. I think I can handle that. I imagine you can. Kamal pauses a moment and strokes his chin thoughtfully. Did you have anything specific in mind? For the garden? Well, no, nothing specific. I didn't actually think you'd go along with it. I'm not really the best at planning that sort of thing anyway. Fair enough. But maybe... Never mind. I can't tell you it's a bad idea if you don't even tell me what it is. Oh, very funny. Let me think about it a little more. I'll come up with some more solid ideas and let you know what I have in mind. Then you can tell me if it's a bad idea or not. Kamal smiles. You can get started now if you want. You have the time. I should probably spend it doing more work though. Vincent would get mad if I just started goofing off, wouldn't he? Kamal places a hand on my head and ruffles my hair. Hey! Take a break. If Vincent sent you here, it means he doesn't need you anywhere else at the moment. Enjoy the free time while you can. Right. That's easy to say, but I feel kind of awkward standing around doing nothing. Maybe I should try and come up with some ideas for the garden. Let's see. Okay, I'm not going to come out with anything just staring at plants. I should try doing something that might generate some ideas. I weigh my options and decide to... go for a walk. Walking always helps me think. It might not seem productive, but I decide the first step in coming up with a way to improve the garden is to actually experience it. Take my time, walking along the path, stopping whenever I note an area that feels like it could use something. Kamal eventually follows, paying close attention to wherever my eyes go. Take a few more steps and find a fairly large stretch of grass with nothing but a couple of trees. Thinking about doing something here? Maybe. There's not a lot going on right here. True, but I like this particular spot the way it is. I do need a place to practice. Ah, right, yeah, didn't even think of that, sorry. The other places you noticed were good though. We could try working with them. I nod, thinking back to the places I scoped out earlier. Wonder which one we should start with. You know, there is another thing this particular spot is good for. Yeah? Yep. Mal takes a seat on the grass and leans back, stretching out so he's taking up as much room as possible. Planning on taking a nap down there? I have before. It's actually pretty comfortable. Really? Now? Try it out for yourself. I feel like this is counterproductive, but I lay down anyway. And he's right, of course. The grass is soft and feels good against my skin, even if it does tickle a little. I look up at the sky and watch a few clouds pass by. See? You can't change this spot, it's too good. I see your point. You should probably start talking about some of the spots you're willing to negotiate on, though. Sounds good. We spend a few hours going over some of the possibilities. I'm not sure if any of my suggestions are particularly helpful, but Kamal's able to take them, turn them into something workable. In fact, by the end of it, I'm actually feeling a bit optimistic about the project. I might even be a little excited. So the next thing we need to do is pick out some flowers? that seems to be the case. We could look up flowers in the library, figure out which ones we want to try and get. Kamal smiles. We could. But I think we should call it a day for now. I take a look at the sky and realise the sun is getting close to setting. I hadn't realised it was already that late. Next time, okay? I nod. Sounds good. Right, once we've gone through this segment, that will be a good point to... Okay. Right, I think that's an excellent point to end this first part, so thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next.